Hello, everyone. I'm Leo, and this is the first video of a series where I'm going to be showing you how to create your customized team of AI assistants that can actually follow your knowledge and grow with your projects. So let's get started. Today, we're going to be working with the ChatGPT chat console, right? So the first thing that I want to mention is that we've probably all come to this situation where we are working with one of these models and we start getting good answers, and then at some point we lose that chat window, right? Or we our browser closes or something happens, and then we actually need to start over. So, given the fact that these models are foundationally non-deterministic, we are meant to get different answers, right? So getting the same functionality or the same context foundation for a different chat becomes non-trivial, right? So we end up sometimes getting different answers that we got the day before, and this instead of being help, right? It starts becoming cognitive load. So let's see how we can actually mitigate this problem, right? And what we're actually going to do is that first of all, we're going to illustrate that example by running a query. I'm actually gonna use examples on the realm of software development and machine learning and AI, but this really applies to any field, right? So to any specific knowledge domain where you're working, and you're actually seeking to get assistants that are gonna perform in a trustable way up to a point. Right, so let's just run that, see what it produces. So here's the production Docker file, right? So we get a bunch of things, right? So what we said is that we're very likely gonna get a different answer if we try that again in another window. We might be wrong, but even if it's not, if we don't see it, yeah, it's different actually. Even if we do not see it right away, the foundation here is that as we keep on working on these chats, they're gonna iterate in different ways, and they're in the end going to end up giving very different advice, even up to the tool level, right? So one of them is going to tell you to use llama index, and the other one to use langchain, depending on what weights are initialized, actually, right? So we need to be careful with that, right? And even more as we rely more and more on this assistance, right? We need to make sure that they're trustable up to a point. Right, so let's try and repeat that same query, because here, I mean, this is very specific to my field, but like these are not the best practices anymore. Or I mean, it's a pretty old version of Python, for example, right? So if I just grab a chat window like that, I might get outdated information um, for my project, right? So what I actually want to do here is contextualize the model so that it knows its role, or well, the model, like this specific chat window, right? This instance of inference with the model, we want to customize it so that it knows what role it should play, right? And so for example, here we have an ML engineer that specializes in production ready ML systems using MLOps practices, blah blah blah, right? And we can even define, for example, here are the tools that we use, well, that I use, right? So we can even go as far as saying that, and then try to put the same query in there, and then just see how different that is going to be, right? So if I if I start working with this header in these chats, then I'm actually gonna get the similar foundational knowledge, right? It's gonna be the same foundation. A way you can think about this is like you're gonna load the right weights, or you're gonna load the right context in the model, so it can actually answer your questions with the same foundational knowledge, right? So we get something right? So we get a much more updated version of Python, and this is following better practices, and we get a clear explanation of what's going on, right? So we can see that the quality of the answering increases right away, right? And it's even going as far as giving us the server code. This might not work if I just copy paste it into my IDE, but we can see that this instance of chat has much more knowledge than we saw before, right? So this is a way you can actually do that. And if you work with Claude, for instance, for example, we can create a new chat there, as well, and we can just do the same things actually with Claude or whichever provider you're actually using, right? Or even if you're pinging the API, building your own knowledge application, you can use this system prompt type of things, right? So we're gonna get much more professional advice. All right, so this is the free way of doing it. However, um, different providers have different ways to organize information, right? And for example, with both Claude and ChatGPT offer the possibility of creating projects, right? So I'm just gonna really quickly show you. And these projects, it's not working. These projects can actually allow you to customize your assistance in a much better way by even loading documents and connecting them to Git repositories so they can see code, right? And as you go on, you can update this documentation and then make it so that your assistants evolve with you, right? So we're gonna look at that and much more in much more detail in the next video. However, keep in mind that this technique that I just showed you is extremely important because it will evolve with us. See, and also in ChatGPT we have projects, new project. See more. You have projects here. It will evolve with us to actually have autonomous assistants that are actually going to interact with between themselves to give us more elaborate answers. And the foundation is exactly this. It's actually having systems that are trustable up to a point and that can be updated to evolve with our projects and with us, right? So thanks for listening, and and stay tuned for the next video. Make sure to subscribe, and yeah, thanks. Bye bye.